is the MSP Blueprint Rebellion, where off-roading and doing things differently is highly encouraged. I'm Ashley Beadle, your resident MSP girl who is passionate about making positive change throughout the industry wherever I can. But to know me is to know that I love intelligent, strong, driven, badass women, which is why I am so honored to have Shannon Noonan, founder of HiNoon Consulting, here with me today. Shannon, welcome to the Rebellion, and thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
We're going to have a great time chatting about the work that you and your team do and some of the things that you have experienced in the industry. But before we dive in, maybe you can tell us a little bit about yourself and what in your trajectory, your career trajectory, led you to starting HiNoon Consulting.
Oh, well, that's a long story. We could be here for days on, right? No, so I am Shannon Noonan, founder. Not co-founder. I used to be a co-founder. Now I am a founder of HiNoon Consulting. And this is my second company. I actually have a third company called 4542, but we won't get into that right now. So where I started with all of this is my career has started actually in accounting, and I became an internal auditor. I eventually went to external, working at EMY, and over time landed in the world of compliance and cybersecurity. Once I got to a certain point, I saw the need out there, right? And I like to help people. So it's like, how can I get out there more, help more organizations, and really truly get away from the noise? And so that's what really drove HiNoon. Is we're here to help organizations get to where they need to be appropriately and not with extra noise. So it's like, how can I help you be better and do the right thing ethically?
Yeah. So I know not all of your clients are in the MSP industry. Is that correct?
Correct. I have large, massive clients, billion-dollar ones, and I have little startups, and I partner with MSPs here and there. So yes, I'm all over the place, but not because I don't have a niche or a focus. It's more because compliance is everywhere, right? So a lot of times is we're helping the MSP with their clients, or we're helping with a large company with their compliance and security needs, right? So a lot of it is more advisory and guidance, and then we get into the hands-on staff augmentation type work.
Excellent. So if we were to focus in on the MSP industry specifically, I would really like to know what you have seen or encountered through some of your MSP partners or MSP clients that you feel process-wise might be considered outdated.
Well, that's always a fun one, because some of these poor MSPs, they're stuck with a lot of outdated technology and processes because their clients force them to do it, right? They want to upgrade, they want to change, they want to evolve, they want to come with the times, and they struggle with that. So it's how do we get them into a better spot? So a lot of what I do is we come in and we assess and we identify with them of like, what is today's option versus what is tomorrow's options. And that really means in essence is, what technology do they have today? What processes do they have today? And how can we get them to a finish line? And what is their budget? Because I hate to say it, budget is such a big component, not only in a business, but with MSPs, right? You can't just spend money to spend monies. It's like, what can you do today with what resources and budget you have, versus how can you build for tomorrow to make it more automated, more enhanced, more available, all of those fun words that we like to say, but truly doing it. And that's where, and I love the fact that you call it a blueprint, but that's what we create. We create this blueprint for you, so that you can then go drive it, but then you can message it. My big thing is always with the MSPs is helping them identify what revenue is, right?
Yeah.
I, as an individual, talk about what is important to a client. They want to drive revenue. Well, what supports revenue and what drives it? And if an MSP can learn how to speak those words, they can then go and talk to the doctor's offices, the electricians, the plumbers, whomever they're supporting, the small startups. They can go and talk to them differently, because now they can sit there and say, this technology is supporting your drive of revenue, and here's how it's doing it, right? And that's a game changer, which a lot of people don't know how to do. And it's not because they don't know how to do it. they specialize in a very specific thing. They are a technologist. They maintain environments. Well,
Right.
let's add that component. That's what we help you do, is drive revenue so that you can help your customers drive revenue. Makes
Right.
you no longer an overhead expense.
Absolutely. You brought up your the assessment you do when you come in. Give me, I'm sure it's a longer process than the amount of time we have right now, but can you give me just an overview of what your assessment process looks like so people understand when they're calling you what they're signing up for?
Yeah, so it just depends on what the need is, right? We have multiple types of assessments, right? It could be a traditional gap assessment. We come in, we see what the real gaps are, and we tell you and we help you fix them. And that could be anything from a financial gap all the way to an IT gap to a security gap, right? And then
Okay.
we help you build a remediation plan. The other type of gap we do is a business impact assessment. And everyone's probably sitting here saying, well, we've done those. Well, we do a business impact assessment that ties to revenue. How is this business impact assessment driving revenue so that you can then truly make changes in an environment? And so that's the big thing, is like, what are we looking at and what's the impact to revenue? So when we do when we do that type of an assessment, you now have the ability to make change, because you can sit there and say, all right, I want to enhance the speed in this area. I need to change the following 5 things, because it's never one process or system that needs to be changed. It's
Yeah.
usually like 3 to 4, and sometimes you get
Well, they're
lucky
all
and it's
tied
one.
together too, right? So that,
Everything's tied together.
yeah.
But if you don't know what that impact is to revenue, so if you have the ability to go to your doctor and say, hey, you walk around with this microphone to record all of your items. If you use this one instead, it can connect automatically to the feed and it can start doing X, Y, and Z for you on your behalf.
Okay.
That changes their game, because now, wait a second, I can see more patients because I don't have to record it. I can do this, I can do that. You can change that game for them because it automates something for them where now they just have to review it versus type it. Or there's so many different elements to this. Like, what could you do that could make them go a little faster so they could see someone, another person,
Yeah.
or they can add another element to their revenue, right? What is it that's going to make them better? And if you understand those pieces, you can, in essence, grow their revenue while growing your revenue.
What I love about your background, and as we're having this conversation, is that you started out in numbers. So
Yes.
you're not speaking out of turn, if you will. This is something you've seen from a numbers perspective since the start of your career, and now you've found a way to help positively impact that revenue and bottom line for businesses through the services that you're offering.
Well, it's
So
evolving. Technology is evolving. Right, it's always been considered overhead expense. And inevitably it is true, right? It's the core of an organization, right? But as we've evolved, technology is more rapidly being used.
yeah,
So it's becoming less of an overhead expense, but a driver. Because without the technology, you can't go faster. Without the technology, you can't do things better, right? We're hearing it now as we go to events. How do we automate a portion of the help desk?
yeah,
Well, if you don't implement that tool, you're still not going to have to hire 5, 6 people to do that. Well, if you automate it, you can keep the same 5, 6 people and take on more work, because now they're not sitting there on the phones answering every single call or waiting for that, that issue. It can be initially created, and now a ticket can be put into a queue and you go and address that. So
yeah,
your workload can still increase with the same amount of people. It's not
yeah,
changing the people, it's increasing their capability so that they can do more and
yeah,
drive more revenue. And that's just on the MSP side. So like, think of like those avenues, or, oh, what's that benefit? Or there's new tools out there that can automate anything for you, right?
yeah. True.
But anything at this point, right? Can automate you writing emails or sending out emails. Well, what if you had this automation process that was able to call up old clients and say, I'm just reminding you about me. We have this great opportunity. Would you like to join a call? And here's a sign up. Or, hey, I'd like to get on the phone with you and show you what we're doing new here. see if you would like to come back to us, right? If you didn't have to pick up the phone and call every one of them, and you were able to send them an email to get them to interact and then book a meeting with you, you just saved yourself more time to work on what really matters.
Yeah,
Little
absolutely.
things. It's like little things, but businesses need those same little things, right?
Yeah,
Because we're all running on lean teams, we're all running on budgets, and if
right.
you can only increase so much with one person, but if you give them the tools to make themselves almost like 2 or 3 people, you've just added to
Imagine
your
what we could
ability.
do when we didn't have budgets.
Mm, I know. We had no budgets, everything would just be free.
So, I'm a sucker for trends and looking for commonality, because I feel like when I find a trend in, if I'm getting the same type of ticket or question from clients, and then I know that there's an area I need to dive in deeper or I need to address something. So I'm curious if recently, or maybe you can speak to 2025 even, if you saw a common trend with your clients or a common request coming in that we can share out so that people start thinking about it now.
To be honest with you, most of it was like, well, I can do this better, faster through a tool, right? I didn't really see necessarily a trend. I saw a lot on the help desk side where
Okay.
people were automating a lot more because, right, how do I get rid of, we saw this back in the day, right? Instead of calling and changing your password, you gave them the ability to self change it, right? So on and so forth. So now we're seeing this, instead of calling a help desk, you give them a chat bot so that they can talk to, or you give them the ability to submit their own tickets. So we're seeing that evolution. I hate to say, I didn't really see a trend. I saw a
Okay.
trend of more people trying to figure out how to make AI involved in the everyday life,
Yeah.
whether it was using ChatGPT, building their own models, whatever it was. I saw more of that because people were like, oh, this is now at my fingertips. How can I do this? What can I use it for? How to get in
Mhm.
the forefront of this. That's the trend I really saw. And
Yeah.
it's gonna be interesting to see what that impact is because none of us truly know what the
Yeah.
true impact is of, as people are like, oh, I heard that this is great. Let me go figure out how to do it myself versus getting the training.
Yeah.
And so that's the piece of it.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of self-starting things to make lives better, which is now creating a new form of shadow IT, and that's a whole nother world.
Yeah. Yeah. Would you say that you feel like you have a common pushback from anyone? So like when you're first speaking with clients and their common pushback for you is, and it's just because they don't know the full breadth of what it is that you do. What does that normally look like?
It's always budget. Ironically enough,
Of
it's
course.
always
Of course.
budget. It's always budget. Well, and the other thing is, well, this hasn't happened to me, so why do I need to do it?
Knocking on wood for you.
Right. Well, it's not like for the organizations, it hasn't happened to me, so why am I doing it? It hasn't happened to me, so why am I doing it? And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, well that you're doing it because it's a law. That actually was words out of my mouth many times last year to people. I'm like, because it's a regulation. It's always been here. You've
Yeah.
always had to do it. It's not new, but I haven't been like, it's almost like, but I haven't been caught. And it's like, but
Oh,
you
I
don't want to
hate
get
that phrase.
caught.
It gives
Like,
me so much heartburn. Yeah.
well, most of it they don't understand it, and that's the piece of this is there's so much legal regulation requirements
Yeah.
that people do not know. They're not supposed to know it. That's not their specialty. That's not where they are. They can go into ChatGPT and ask it, but they still don't know it, right? So they
Yeah.
were interpreting something and say, well, we do this. And what if they're not doing it correctly? And I know everybody's trying. Let's be honest, every single person out there is trying to do the right thing. And so, but it comes down to budget. Oh, I don't have the money to do that right now. Well, what do you have the ability to do? And how can we do that now so you're
Yeah.
in the right versus the tomorrow and being in the wrong? And
Yeah.
so those are the things that, the big differentiators for us is that's what we help you do. What is available to you today versus how do we get to tomorrow? And that seems really odd in some aspects, but some people only can use what they have available to them, and
Yeah.
there are ways to make you positive, regulatory, and still use what you have. Now there are sometimes I shouldn't say 100% all the time. There are some things that you potentially have to do, like, and it has to be implemented, but that's going to be up to the organization itself. And so we just provide a guide and light, and we help them down that path and hope and pray that they do it right and not worry about too much of the pain points around it. But it's always budget. It's always, and why that to be honest, you'd be amazed, but I haven't been caught.
Yeah.
But it hasn't impacted me yet, so why do I need to do it?
But also,
I'm never gonna be. This is not gonna be an issue for me. I'm like, oh gosh, why?
but also, it it eventually does become an issue, and cleaning up the mess of some of discovery like that is far more expensive
Yes, then preventing
than
it. Correct.
preventing it. And so going back to our common thread in our discussion around budget is exactly that, right? Is if you really are that concerned about budget, and that really is a major or the deciding factor, then this is why you should be doing this, because if you don't and you get caught, it's going to be far more expensive.
Well, if you have an incident and you have to deal with the whole IR, your prices go through the roof immediately. You have to call the insurance company potentially if you do, or if you don't have insurance around it, you have that. There's so many things. Attorneys,
Yeah.
so on and so forth. But the one thing is, you potentially might not be able to do business, and a lot of people don't know that, right? I had a conversation with a painting company, and we were going through what systems they had. I was trying to help them identify really what their impact was if something got bitten. Now they had just gone through an incident, and just on the email side, nothing else had been commandeered at that point. And so we were able to clean up their emails, and yay, it worked out great. So we went through the other elements, and it's like, well, what happens if this, and this? And we found that if they did not have one of the systems, they would know none of their painting jobs, where they were supposed to be, because everything was in the environment. So it's like their orders, their contracts, all of that was in one specific environment. So they said, well, what do we do in that sense? How do we handle something like that? And I was like, well, kind of go back to what manufacturing used to do, and probably still does. On Monday, they would print out basically what all the orders were. So if the system went down, they knew what was in inventory. They knew what they were able to do.
Yeah.
It wasn't perfect, but they had the ability to go into a manual process to function, right? How many people can say they have that ability right now? That if they lost anything for one day, what's the impact to their revenue? Do they even know that? Most organizations are no longer doing that anymore. They don't even know, because everything's in the cloud, and they think it's all going to be up and running.
Right. That's a really interesting point. And I would love if I could put a poll off to the side of the screen to find
Talk
out
about it later.
yeah, how many
Pause
people
that.
yeah, how many people are planning for that and know what those numbers look like.
But nobody thinks about those items anymore, because they're thinking it's just going to be up and running. Because if Microsoft goes down, what's the impact, right?
Yeah.
Well, we've now become instant gratification. Can you lose an hour worth of work and survive tomorrow? Can you lose 3 hours worth of work? Can you lose 8 hours? Most companies used to be able to survive off of 48 hours or 24 hours, because that was what they baked into it. Well, can you do that now? Or can you lose if a hacker gets in the environment and deletes everything, and you have to recover, because that's possible too. It's not about losing Microsoft, but someone comes in and deletes your data.
Yeah.
Can you survive?
Yeah.
What's it going to take to rebuild? And people don't think like that, but why would they? Because until it happens, you're not worrying about that piece of it, right? And then it happens to you, and then the panic starts. Like, oh my gosh, what am I supposed to do? How am I going to survive? But you've never planned for it. And that's the whole point of some of this, is you plan for the worst and pray for the best, right? You know,
it's like the
what
phrase,
the outcome
fortune favors the prepared.
Yes. Well, it's true. It's like when you're prepared, your outcome is less likely to happen because you are ready to go, versus, and the smaller you are, the harder it is to recover. The bigger you are, because you have cash flow, it's easy to recover. It's not easier. It's easier to recover because you've got the cash to keep going. The smaller companies are living off of that cash flow, the day to day.
Yeah.
So
if I'm a new client coming in. Let's focus on, I'm an MSP and I want to work with you. What does that process of working with you look like? What's the life cycle, and what does our interaction process look like?
So for interactions, I'm always the type of person that says, what's the cadence that makes the most sense, right? If we're working on something very tactful that has a deadline, we have more recurring meetings. If something is, set it, forget it type deal, we meet regularly, like once a week or once every other week type deal. So that's more, we keep the communication channels open, whether it's a Slack channel, a Teams channel, where everybody can constantly talk, right? Can always
Okay.
call, but get that reoccurring meeting on the calendar so that you have the ability, no matter what, to be available to somebody, right?
Yeah.
So that's one part. But working with an organization, depending on what it is, some of it might be I'm working to assess your environment and help your environment get through compliance. And that could be meeting the CMMC regulations for the government, or you're working with a lot of healthcare clients. So you need to start making sure your employees are meeting the HIPAA, PCI, so on and so forth, whatever it is. Or you just in general, you want to be tactful and make sure your environment is secure so you're not creating a new backdoor. Now,
Yeah.
if we're here to support your clients, because sometimes that's what we also do, is we'll work with an MSP as an extension of them. So
Okay.
most, whether they white label it or call us a partner, we're an extension. So we're getting intertwined into their clients' work, because the MSP and MSSP wants to do is they want to work on the technology. They don't want to go sit there and make sure that the policies are written and the processes are done. They want to
Hmm.
make sure that if something needs to be implemented, we come back to them and say, here's the plan. And they figure out, okay, here's the technology we can do that with, right? Versus us telling them how to do it. We can do that too. Like we're consider say, here's the better technology, here's what's out there. So
Yeah.
we look at those elements and we sit there and say, well, what is it? So if we're helping in support of clients, we then work with them on what's that schedule with the clients. How do they want to get updated on this information as we're working with clients? Because sometimes they're not going to handhold us and say, I'm on every meeting. They just want to be updated on the progress and that they know that things are getting done
Yeah.
versus maybe they want to be on every single call. So we got to make sure that they're there. So it's
Yeah.
really more of their appetite and working with them on that appetite and then getting the work done. Most of our
Okay.
projects, depending on the organization, if it's reoccurring, it's a monthly type deal. We have specific criteria that we work on in regards to priority based off of what the client needs. So we have that. If it's a project, depending on the project, it could be, through, 1 month to 6 months, depending on the type of project it is. And we just work and make sure that there's a comms channel and whatever it
Okay.
is, a continuous meeting so that we have the ability, because people are comfortable if they know how to communicate. If they
Yeah.
don't know how to communicate, that's when it gets lost. I don't know how to get a hold of you. I don't know how to talk to you. I don't know when to meet with you. So that's the first thing we do. We create that
Great.
comms channel because now it puts them at ease because they now know they have somebody to get a hold of. And then we just start working and we give updates and we create project plans and we give the good news, the bad news, and sometimes the ugly news, which is never good. Like someone just said to me once, like, how do you do this? Because half the time I'm always giving negative news. It's like, so you didn't do this, and this is what we need to do. Like nobody wants to hear that they're not doing well at the job, and it's not that they're
Yeah.
not doing well at the job, and that's the piece of this. It's that they didn't know how to do this part, and that's what I'm there for, is to help make sure I'm part of their team, I'm
Yeah.
one with them, and that we catch it before someone else does. So
Well,
that's what we're there for. We're there to be part of the team to catch it before someone else does.
perfect. That's the easiest, most digestible description yet. So I love it. And you brought up two excellent points in there, and that one, just in general, in the IT services industry, people only call us when things are going wrong or when they're broken. So we're all used to bad news all the time. No one's calling us and saying, "Listen, you're doing a great job."
Great job. Let me pat you on the back. Thank you
Yeah.
for keeping us up and running. Why am
Yeah.
I broken tomorrow?
Yeah. But also just, the need for the amount of communication, and I think that that's what really helps build trust and moves those relationships forward, and it creates that longevity. But so often, our our MSP and IT service operators are keeping up with what's coming down the pipeline for them and for their clients and their clients' needs, that there are times where you set something off to the side knowing it needs to get done, and then the business life cycle starts to take over, and what you think was going to happen in a week or two, it becomes months down the road. And so having a partnership with somebody who can handle some of those things so that you can continue to focus on that pipeline is really important, and making sure that we're building those relationships so we know who to call and who we trust. So
That's half the battle, right?
mhm.
They want to specialize in what they specialize in and have someone to support them. We just become part of the team. That's the way I look at this. We're all one team at the end of the day. We're not here to battle. We're not here. I say to people all the time, stop hiding stuff from me. I'm not here to get you in trouble. I'm here to help you be successful. I'm helping you. The more I help you, the better you can drive revenue, the more secure you are, the better you are in other avenues, right? Process improvements, automation, compliance, security, all of those pieces are things I bring to the table to help you be better, right? Things that you may not realize, oh, wait, I need to do these 5 things. And you're not sure how to start it, or you're going to go do this training. Well, you could hire someone like me that says, all right, well, I've got 3 people that can come in and configure this for you right now, or teach you how to configure it so you know how to do it long term. So it's
you do the training part too.
Yeah, we can do training. We have specialties all over the place, but that's what I do. You see so much when you do compliance, and a lot of people don't understand. It's just like IT, you see so much, but when you start seeing things, you can start applying the same. If there's an issue in one environment, more than likely it's the same issue across all of them. They're not different. A lot of times it's rinse and repeat, because a lot of times they go in and they set up an environment one way, and then they do that same way every single place else. And then something changes in technology and something gets better or enhanced. And they're not thinking about that because they're thinking about how to maintain that environment. But now it's like, well, here's something new that came into place, and you really only need to tweak these 5 things. Well, here's how you tweak it. Now you can apply it to the 10 clients again. So it's those avenues, and it's never perfect. No one's perfect. Sometimes most of these are found because there was an incident. And you had to figure it out afterwards. Or there was a gap assessment done and you had to figure it out.
So before we go, is there anything about you or your team that you want to share and make sure that everybody knows?
Well, please reach out if you ever need any assistance on guidance, advisory, compliance, just process improvement. We are here. We love working with MSPs and being a partner and part of the team. You can clearly reach out to me on LinkedIn, but to get direct access to us, you can email us at either info@hntc.io or sales@hntc.io.
Excellent. And we're going to make sure that we're linking you and both of those email addresses as well, so that people have easier access to reaching out to you and have an initial discussion.
Yes, if a question comes up and there's something like there, we can get to know each other, we become familiar, and if there's a need that we can help out with, that we become an extension of you, right? And it just benefits you, because now you can also offer work that maybe you didn't before, right? If you don't want to do the compliance work, we become partner, right? I can refer work your way, you refer work my way. There's different ways we can go about this. It just becomes a really great partnership.
Yeah, I love that. Well, I appreciate you being here today, and I know that folks will be able to see you on the conference trail throughout the year and speaking at a bunch of events. So, but I am honored to be kicking off the year with you. So thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. I know this is the first one of the year, so I'm excited.
Yeah, great way to kick it off. All right. Well, everybody stay tuned for the next episode of the MSP Blueprint Rebellion, and we'll see you next time.